Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Jordan's and the Family Law imprint. It's part of the practitioner series of books which they produce for us, the main one being the Red Book. This is actually Red Book Plus, this book here. It's an important book and one which I'm sure many practitioners know about. I'll talk about the review we've written, which is on the web and in the journals in a moment. Let's have a quick look at it. There it is. It's a paperback, fairly flimsy. There is the actual spine, and then on the back there's some very basic information. It's part of, as I say, family law and what is called Practice Plus, which is also mentioned on the back there. The book itself is really very helpful. There are lots and lots of tables and rates. There's no index at the back, but at the front, inside front cover, I mentioned the Red Book, and then there's the front page. Then you get into the actual main bit there. Then after that, some basic information about the book. Then there's an important introduction to the very first edition, written by His Honour Judge Anthony Cleary in November 2014. Then there's the scope of the work for those new to it, which sets out how it's produced. The law is as stated as the 1st of October 2015. There are the contents there. You can see a lot of detailed contents all the way through. I'll just run through that quickly. It's split into various parts, so it's really quite easy to use. We start off with practice notes, and there's a shaded area which you can see on the side there, dealing basically with the practice notes themselves. And then after that we then go on to committal and arrest for disobedience. That's actually still the practice notes there. Then the special area. Then the next one is key legislation, which again is quite important. It starts off with the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. Then after that you've got leading cases. They're just listed, but in fact very quick to find. Obviously in this day and age you can use the computer systems as well. And then there are 20 to 15 to 16 tables, which you can probably see it's mentioned there, and then a whole range of different tables. The book is a total number of pages of just over 200, but there are lots of things like, for instance, attendance allowance for social security benefits, various other entitlements, tax credits and so forth, inheritance tax provisions, and therefore a whole range of important materials in just over the 200 pages. Now, what do we say about the book? Well, Elizabeth and I talked about it, and these are essential materials. So we gave the title of our review. Red Book Plus is now an established quick resource for extremely useful shorthand family law materials. And that's really what I think it actually is, because you've got in one place everything you need to look at very quickly, because you may be very, very busy trying to deal with an irate client and difficulties. And so this particular aid memoir does help. And I'm going to be repeating some of the comments made by other commentators because I think they're very pertinent to this particular publication. And what we say is this: another year and another Red Book Plus, just for us. And how fortunate we are to have this book from Jordan's and the Family Law imprint to complement the main family court practice, which we know as the Red Book, as a shorthand version of the materials. And of course it's light in comparative terms. Rightly described then as a ready reference guide for all UK family court practitioners and judges, the new edition for 2015 to 16 provides a most useful and portable source of essential materials, complementing the Red Book itself, which is of course the very heavy book to carry around, but it's also of course very illuminating as the major practitioner work for family lawyers, which is seen of course in all the courtrooms. Now, Red Book Plus, which you see here, is actually an A4 size companion work, which I found very helpful. I have to say I've used it and I do find it helpful, and it sets out these main areas of interest for advisors and practitioners, and I'll just list them again. You've seen what they look like. It's the practice notes providing a practical step-by-step guide to UK law and practice and procedure for court applications in divorce. Then we go on to financial and children matters, flowcharts to accompany each practice note. They provide a useful one-page overview of a particular procedure as an aide-memoire. Then you've got key legislation and guidance, leading cases under topic headings, which again I think is useful depending on, you'll know what area you're dealing with, if it's a financial remedy or whatever. And then you've got the cases listed very clearly for you. And then you've got the 2015 to 16 tables which detail taxation rates and thresholds, plus of course things like the social security benefits available, house prices, fostering allowances, etc. In fact, all the actual fingertips materials you may need to access quite quickly. Now, writing in the foreword to the earliest edition, the first edition, His Honour Judge Anthony Cleary, and I have borrowed from His Honour a number of points, he makes some invaluable observations which are worth highlighting. He starts off saying this is a refreshing and informative guide, and then he goes on to say that Red Book Plus outlines the steps to be taken from the start to the finish of a family matter, and to accompany such steps are reminders and tips to alert the practitioner of common pitfalls that we find in the family legal process and the regular hurdles placed in front of the client. And Cleary points out that the contents of the book shows the common errors, additional powers of the courts and practical advice, and there's a quote here, which even the more experienced practitioner will find immensely useful. He's absolutely right. He lists some suggestions presented to the reader clearly and succinctly in the book, and they are the most positive tips for us, including attending a court with copies of documents, and I've added an aside here, something the experienced advocate actually always does, as so many papers go missing at court, and I found that very useful. Always stock up on what you've got, because it's amazing what the problems are when you get to court if you haven't got a copy of something. Plus draft letters of instruction, for instance what you've been instructed to do, communication with professionals and lay parties. And in this day and age I do say that things like summer email traffic is really quite important, because it's amazing what you might need. So it's always better to be safe than sure, as I'm sure all advocates know. Cleary also comments that one of the many skills which the family lawyer must call upon is the ability to communicate with the court, colleagues and clients and state agencies in a helpful and informed manner, and these tips being of course innovative and valuable, and we fully concur with that. Let me conclude by saying that one most important point to finish on is that assistance of this nature is not found in the major procedural works, mainly because there's no room for such matters. The best concluding quote from Cleary then is worth repeating here, quote, "It is enormously valuable to have such a practical aide-memoire at one's elbow." And yes, that is true, whether you're a practitioner, advisor or a judge. So thank you, Jordans, for making our legal lives just that bit easier with Red Book Plus. And that is in fact exactly what they aim to do, and I'm very grateful to them for doing so, because without the work that they produce it would make our lives a lot more difficult, frankly. Let's just have a quick look at it again. It's, as I say, a paperback. There's the front, then there's the spine, and then there's the back. Just opening up in the middle. I'm just going into these are the practice notes, and this is looking at pre-procedure in final hearings. You can see it listed at the top there. But you see the detail, and I'm particularly interested, and I think it's particularly helpful for the case case law information to be made available. You can see how it's listed there. It is very helpful. Clearly, it's split. I mean, for instance, human rights has got its own little topic area. You've got a whole range of various orders. Expert evidence, again, very important area, and so forth. And then, of course, right at the back, you do have the very useful tables. House prices, for instance. Again, very important when you're looking at financial remedies. Well, there it is. Thank you very much to all concerned for an excellent publication. We're very grateful to all of you. And as I say, do have a look at our review, which is written out and will be in the journals. Thank you, Jordans. Bye-bye.